Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Stephen Acree, and I'm the instructor for this section of English 31, Old Testament Bible as Literature. I wanted to introduce myself to you and just say a few words in this introductory video about the approach of the class. As you will have noticed in your textbook, if you've read it so far, or the lectures, or the title of the class, this is a literary approach to the biblical material. And it's important, I think, to confirm that for you. This is really one of the very, very few classes in the literature department at a college where students come in with expectations that the class will be something other than literature. When I took this class a million years ago at Cal State Northridge, I had differing expectations. And I was surprised. I don't know why I was surprised, but I was. But some students will tend to come into this class with expectations that it's going to be a course in theology or church history or doctrine, or a course that will prepare you to either defend a position of faith or to defend against a position of faith. None of those things are the intent of this course. And that's why we say Bible as literature, so that students are really clear on what the approach will be. I know that this approach, for some of you, you've been taught that this approach is diabolical, dangerous, risky, sinful. I don't know the terms that get applied. And I can't say that I'm sorry you've been taught that, because I don't have any right to say that, but I'm sorry that some of you will not be able to resolve that conflict. And typically, when some students at least, find that the class is not what they're expecting, they just quit, and that is very sad, because they miss out on, I think, an important opportunity. For one thing, these endless debates about what it says in the Bible, if you really listen to them, they proceed from people who have actually never read the Bible, and yet they will want to argue about what's in it. So at least if you get into one of those arguments, you will have read some of it. I won't promise that we'll read the entire Old Testament. That usually doesn't happen. But we will read major portions of it to the extent that we have time. So that's our approach. There's nothing frightening, nothing dangerous about it whatsoever. It's one approach to this material of many. When you think about it, as the textbook says, you wouldn't go into a Shakespeare class expecting it to be anything other than a literature class, or English literature. You wouldn't expect it to be anything other than literature, and that's what this class is as well. I have taught, in my many years at COD, have taught pretty much all of the literature classes there, including this one, Shakespeare, English Lit. I've taught LGBT Lit. I've taught women's Lit, and so forth. So this approach of this class is the same as any of those others. And if you have other expectations, it may set up a struggle for you, and I can certainly sympathize with that. And I can even talk about it, having been through it myself. But I think it's important to be really clear so that we understand going in. The approach of this class, as you will have seen from the reading you've done in your textbook and the reading you've done in the syllabus, is the same as pretty much any other literature class, as I've said. But you should know the truth that this approach is not foreign to people of faith. In fact, I happen to know for a fact at the Princeton Theological Seminary at Princeton University, students preparing for the ministry have to take a class very similar to this, and not just take this class, but take advanced literary analysis, and have to prove competence in literary analysis of the biblical text before they get their ministry degrees. So it's not foreign. Any theologian who's been to any theological seminary in the United States knows this approach. They've learned it. They teach it in in theological schools. So there's nothing foreign about it. There's nothing scary about it. There's nothing dangerous about it. On the other hand, it's not necessary for anyone to have a theological approach. It's not necessary to be a believer. It's not necessary to have any kind of theological stance vis-a-vis this material for this class at all. And for those folks who have no theological stance, you're going to treat it as a literature class, just like any other literature class. So I think it's important, and I wanted to say that to you because now that we're getting on into the class, the first week of class, I'm going to see people start dropping. And typically, people drop because they're scared, or it's not what they want, or it's not what they were expecting, and they don't know how to get their heads around what the class actually is going to do. So if you're in that boat, I hope you'll stick it out. There's nothing scary here, and in fact, you will learn something, I guarantee you. So I just wanted to talk with you a little bit about that and make it really clear my approach, my feelings, and my field of expertise. I will do my very best to give you the benefit of my knowledge and my training and my years of experience with this material. This is a specialty of mine. In fact, I have a degree in religious studies in which I focused on the literature of both the Bible and other religious type literature. So I know a lot about it, and it's a great passion of mine, and I know, and I really love teaching it. So that's the deal. Please get on into the class. There's some work that needs to be done this week. We need to get off, to a good start by understanding the approach to the text itself. As I said in my lecture, which is up there on the website for you, I think that's the easiest place to start this class, is to talk about the actual document itself and how it got to be gathered up into a book, and look at some of the elements of that collecting activity. So please don't be afraid, but please don't think you have to care anything about theology at all. In fact, one's faith position or lack of faith position is unimportant to this class. It may be the most important thing in your life otherwise, but it doesn't really have any use for you in this class. And as I said, if you're a total atheist, that's fine, but that's also not going to be things we're going to argue in this class. That's for another forum and other situations. We're going to talk about the literature, analyze the literature, and come to some interesting conclusions about the process of the production of the material. Okay, so that's it. Please remember that this is Tuesday afternoon. Remember that I'll be in the forum tomorrow in the office at the hours. I don't remember what the hours are, but they're there for you, and you can pop in and we can chat if you'd like. I'll be there for an hour in that chat room, and we can chat if you like. Okay, so I hope you're looking forward to this class as much as I am. If this one goes well, I'm hoping, and there's no guarantee, but I'm hoping to ask to teach the New Testament section in the fall. And so you'll have if you take both classes, you'll have a pretty good survey of the literary nature of the material. Okay, so that's it for now. I hope you're having a great day, and I will talk to you very soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.